Welcome to It's All Fine and Dangy, where we talk about community, health, culture, and all of the big and little things that make life good. Here are your hosts, Dan and Angie.
Hi, everybody. It's Angie. And here's Dan over here across from me.
Oh, hi. I didn't know you were doing that.
I know. I change it up every once in a while, Keep you on your toes.
I'm on my toes.
So this is our this and that section. We're having this and that chit-chat over coffee. We've got a really good coffee.
This is a good coffee. This one's from...
Michelle gave this to us,
yep,
right?
it's from Kenya.
Oh, yeah. It's really good.
It's delicious.
It's got a different taste to it than our normal. It's
Doesn't
not as
it?
bitter.
Mm-hmm.
Normal coffee, I think, has kind of a bitter taste.
Sometimes. Actually, the coffee from the Little Coffee Shop of Horrors
one's really
Mount
good.
Verde.
Yeah.
I said it right that time.
Yeah.
None of their coffee's bitter. It's like this, even if you drink it black like I do.
Yeah.
But this is really good. And thank you, Michelle, for that.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
It really
good
is.
stuff. So I wanted to remind everybody that I think at the beginning of the month, we said that our theme, we have themes every month. And we said that our theme of the month was going to be local hotspots. Well, we did one local hotspot.
It's a heck of a hotspot, though.
It really is. So we did an interview with Bill and Mary Weinog, if you listened last week, from Wekiva Island. And now the owners of Outriggers.
That's right. In New Smyrna.
Partial owners, because they've got some other partners with them.
Yep.
So we're excited to go down and check that out. We're going in August.
Yep.
August 17th, we're going to go down there. So
we're going to stay. That. Yep. And we're going to go there. We're going to go to some of the other places they recommended on the show. Some what could be perceived as competitors, but that's not the way they look at it. That's not the way we ever look at things either. So we're going to go check out some of the places and report back in.
Yeah, report back in. Let you know what to check out down there.
Yep.
But I just thought, some months we are going to have where things kind of fall through or crazinessly. We had vacation. It was 4th of July. It's hard to get people scheduled for actual interviews then.
The potpourri of subjects month.
Yes, it should. So we will have some of those, but for now through the end of the year, we're pretty good on our themes. And I think we mentioned last week, next month is back to school. So we're going to be focused on kind of like meeting different teachers.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
Different educational levels.
Yeah, from like elementary through high school through college.
To college, yeah. So we have some local and not so local. Because I have elementary teacher from Lake County.
Very nice.
Yeah. So,
still local-ish, but still Florida local.
Yeah. So last week, we kind of all got back to normal life after vacation. It only it takes you like 3 or 4 days to get back to norm.
It so does. And not just, for me, it's coming back to 500 emails, and that's after sort of managing email during vacation.
Oh, I could not. I can't. I mean, I hope one day my business is,
will be. For
cranking
sure.
like that to where I have that many and have to hire somebody else to manage my email. That'd be wonderful.
But I know what you mean. It's not just email. Sometimes it's just kind of getting back in the groove.
Yeah. But you know what, though? I don't know if I want that many because I do want my business to be very intimate.
Yep.
With my health coaching, I want it to be very one-on-one and where I can manage the amount of clients I have and make real change. So, but, we'll see. Might go
I'm sure it's going to do well.
So what did we do last week? Just kind of, back to normal. Didn't really want to do anything. I couldn't lie.
Well, I was sort of, I know you were busy last week. The way you're saying it sounds like it was chill, but it was a very busy week. And for me, same way. I mean, it was chaos for the first 4 days. When you first
go back to work, yeah. But we watched a show we were going to go see Spider-Man. But Rachel didn't want to go.
I'm still dodging spoilers for that, so we have got to go this weekend together.
But we watched Shazam with her at home, and that was a really great adult and kids movie, but a great family movie to watch with your kids.
Yeah, it was really funny. Highly recommend.
Very funny. Very funny. That guy do you know his name?
I wish I did. We should have looked it up. We'll have to look it up. He's the guy that did the voice for my very favorite Disney movie. I believe it's the same guy.
Tangled.
Who does, Tangled.
You know what's funny?
What's that?
Before I even met you, that was my favorite one.
Was it really?
We were on a cruise and Tangled came on in the room. And we all sat there and watched that. And I loved my boys sat there and watched it.
It's
and they
hilarious.
were older. They were like teenagers.
You know what? The thing about Tangled is when I say that, people are like, really? It's a Disney movie. It is really well-timed and well-written comedy. That's what I love about it, because it is
very witty.
It's very witty, and it's just really good timing. His name is Zachary Levi. He also stars in a show called Chuck.
Oh, yes. That's where I remembered him from. I didn't really get into that show, but I
didn't
think
either,
I watched a few episodes.
I just looked that up on IMDb, but so he's the main guy in Shazam, and that movie was really funny. We also finished Stranger Things season 3.
I finished that separate than,
Yeah, you and I made it 3/4 of the way together, but you finished it. We all finished it. And we're a spoiler-free show because I hate the spoiler sort of culture that's out there now. But I was really into Stranger Things season 1. Season 2 felt like it was a little repetitive. I mean, still good, but... And so I wasn't really expecting so much with season 3. I know Rachel really loves it. My daughter really loves it. I really thought it was done well.
Yeah, it was done very well.
Yeah. I mean, the
character development was really great.
Yep.
A lot of times they'll kind of keep them they won't let the characters grow.
Yeah,
sometimes they try to, because everybody liked them when they were, that certain age or whatever, and they try to kind of keep them stunted. What am I trying to say? So that so a certain age group still identifies with them. But I think they did it really well as far as, them
allowing
kind of
them
growing
to grow
up. And
I agree. And what's funny too is that, so if you haven't watched Stranger Things, I highly encourage you to watch it. It's almost like a throwback to 80s sci-fi horror kind of.
Like our Goonies kind of, right?
It really is. It's got, it not only does it take place in the 80s, but like the intro, the music, it's a lot of synthesizer keyboards kind of stuff.
Oh, them clothes, baby.
And the clothes. But it's also, what's really neat is the plot and the way the story's put together is very 80s, where it's like only the kids in the town can figure things out for some reason.
Course.
So
very Scooby-Doo-ish.
Yeah, so you can't pick it apart too much, because sometimes the logic is I think it's following that sort of old school 80s shows we used to watch, like Amazing Stories or whatever.
It's made really well for the target audience that they're going for. Although you have tons of adults.
Oh, it is, but I think they purposely do some of that, because that's how the 80s shows like that were. And
it was cool.
What I really like is the guy David Harbour, the guy that plays Jim Hopper, the cop. Mm-hmm. If you ever watch him in any interviews, he is wildly entertaining. He's a really interesting guy, and I think it contributes to how much I like the show. But we highly encourage you to watch that. If you make it to season 3, let us know. Some horribly sad stuff towards the end. That's all I'm going to say. No spoilers, but it was there was a surprising amount of depth at the end of this one for me. I think that's why I liked it so much. And Chapter 2 trailer came out. Yeah,
I watched it. Well, okay, so I was in bed the other night, and you always are, on the iPad. I'm falling asleep.
Right.
And I hear you listening to it, and I put the covers over my head because I was trying to block it out.
Sounded too scary.
Yeah, it sounded too scary, but then I watched it, and I watched the first one.
Yeah. You know what the thing about the It movies, they're not that scary really to me. And people
creepy.
Say, they're creepy. And everybody says, "Oh, it's a clown, I'm terrified." But just the way they're done, these new ones especially, it's a really interesting story. It's very creepy. The new one, if you guys don't know, the first one, Chapter 1, that came out 2 years ago, it's all the kids. And just like the book and just like the old miniseries from the 80s, Chapter 2, which I guess in the miniseries it was just the later episodes, it's all of them as adults coming back to this town. Yeah. They've got some great actors. James McAvoy he's the guy that plays Professor X, the younger version of the X-Men movies.
I love him. He's a great actor.
Or the guy from Split. Yeah, he is. Jessica Chastain, everybody knows who she is. She plays Beverly grown up. But my favorite is that Richie, the older Richie, is played by Bill Hader, and that is such a perfect fit.
So which one is Richie? Is he's the one that says, these are gazebos?
No. Richie's the one with glasses who's also in Stranger Things, the guy, Finn Wolfhard.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So he's the one that's always cursing and always being,
he is. That's a good fit. Yeah.
It is a really good fit. Yeah. And in the book, Richie is when he grows up, he's like a voice talent on the radio, and he does a bunch of voices and stuff. And I don't know if that's how they're going to do the movie, but Bill Hader does that.
Yeah.
So I think it was a really good fit. I'm very excited. It looks really creepy. It looks like it might be more scary than the first one, which that's how the book was too.
Well, you have to wait till September.
I know. It's so long.
Yeah. And speaking of September, You guys stay tuned throughout the commercial break. It's like we're on a radio show because I say like stay tuned, like they're listening live or something.
Well,
I guess we
do live sometimes.
Yeah. Stay tuned because our next guest, we're going to be talking about an event that's coming up in September.
Yep.
And our interview is with a guest that has something very important to say.
Indeed, she does. Yes. So hang tight. We'll be right back. Hey guys, welcome back. And it's time now for our community call out. Now, our guest today has a very touching story and it might be difficult for some of you to listen to. However, we really encourage you to listen to the end because awareness of this helps draw attention to it. And the more awareness we can bring to it, this typically leads to more attention and thus more funding. And I don't want to get further into it. I want to let our guest have the opportunity to sort of introduce her story. Please welcome Elena Rawls. Elena, I really appreciate you sitting down to talk to us here.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So first things first, tell us just a little bit personally about yourself, where you're from, where you grew up.
Sure. I originally am from Michigan. I was born in Rochester. Yes. I only lived there till I was 5. So
You're a Floridian.
I'm
me.
I consider myself a Floridian. I grew up, kind of mostly in the Orlando area, sort of all over. I went to Lake Brantley High School for all of high school. And then in 2009, I met my husband and while I was working, I'm a hairdresser, so I actually ended up cutting his hair.
Is that how you met him?
That is how I met him.
That's great.
Yes, at the
Didn't you used to be Dan's hairdresser?
I've done his hair before.
Okay.
When I started.
Dan's hairdresser.
I've done his hair a few times.
Look, you don't go to like a barbershop, so you have a hairdresser. Sorry.
You know, the strange thing about that, if you recall, and I don't remember, it's been a long time since you were doing my hair, but I get my hair buzzed. So I don't know why. I just still like going to places like that. But that's interesting.
Creature of habit.
Yeah.
Creature of habit. You get the same place, either the same place or the same person. It's just, I get it. Yeah. I started there when I was 14, when I was still.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
you could work that young back then?
I've known Dan for quite a long time.
Oh, yes.
I probably knew him as in high school. I worked as a receptionist there.
Oh, wow.
I always kind of knew I wanted to do hair. That was sort of just, that was just my thing.
Right. Very nice. Well, that's very cool that you actually met him there cutting his hair.
Yeah, I did.
That's a cool story.
It's a funny story, but yeah, I did. And
cool.
I was like, hey, you look good. Let's hang out. That's when Facebook was kind of there. And I'm like, is it weird if I cut his hair and he leaves and I friend request him? But
no, not at all. Not nowadays.
Not nowadays.
Especially.
Yeah. 10 years ago, I don't know, but I did it anyways. Who cares, right?
Yeah.
Look what it brought you.
Yeah,
though.
exactly. Yeah. So I met him and eventually he's from the Apopka area, born and raised here in Apopka, went to Apopka High School. Yeah. Well, he was born in Winter Park, but yes, there.
Okay, but he was raised here.
Born and raised in Apopka. Yeah. So just kind of, I floated sort of this way to Apopka.
Yeah.
And I've been here for about 10 years now, but yeah. Pretty much from Florida.
You're an Apopkin.
Popkin.
Is
Yeah.
that how you say it?
Me too. So
a Popkin, a Poopkin, whatever.
I was born here too. I was born in Apopka as well, way back in the dark ages.
You're so crazy.
I think everyone, as we started our podcast, one of the first things we focused on was like charities and philanthropy. And I won't get too deep into that, but we sort of noticed between the two of us right away that it feels more important than really anything else. When you hear that a difference has been made on any level, you start feeling like, this is fun doing the podcast, but this feels important. This feels more important than just us goofing around and having fun with it. And so we've gone to some charities and taken part in events and helped raise money and stuff. And what I feel like I've learned is that it seems like when you talk to people, everyone's drawn to a specific group event or a charity event. And it's usually because they've been personally affected by the cause in some way. So I know this is a hard topic, and it's hard for me to ask it. But can you tell us how you came to be involved in childhood cancer awareness?
Yeah, absolutely. So I had kind of known a little bit about childhood cancer as a whole because we did have my dad's cousin, her son, we just say my cousin, was diagnosed with osteosarcoma when he was 8 years old, I believe. So I had kind of known a little bit about childhood cancer. We kind of just through the family sort of hear about it and stuff.
Right.
But I never thought it would affect me personally.
Which is what I think most people think.
Yeah, they do. Kind of like it won't happen to me or won't happen to my family or to my child. And it did. September of 2017, my son had just turned 3 on September 2nd. And he was fine. He started school, and one day, out of nowhere, we were getting ready for school, and he woke up with like a limp. He started limping. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, he's like, oh, my leg hurts. I'm like, okay, that's a little weird. And I remember like sending the video out to some of my friends of him limping and just kind of like, I don't know, he's doing this really weird thing. And I'm very kind of in tune with things. And I thought maybe he just heard it at school. Like he just started school, whatever. Yeah. I had taken him to the doctor. He was previously sick. So they said it was, what you call toxic synovitis, which is kind of like where inflammation can go into the joints. Okay. Right. So causes a limp, maybe just take some Motrin, things like that.
It'll go away.
Right. Well, he was living on Motrin for about a week or two. We celebrated his birthday at Disney. He stayed mostly in the stroller because he couldn't walk. But other than that, he had no complaints. Mm-hmm. Hurricane Irma came, hit, and the limp had started to really go away. So I thought, okay, well, it's going away. Great. Well, the hurricane came. Of course, we lost power. Everyone was out of school. So we decided to go to Disney a couple times that week to get out. Some people didn't have power. So that was like our power.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
And the last day we went, he just was not himself. Well, kind of that whole week, but really on that last day, he is not a napper. Like he's not a napping kid. Yeah. And he would tell me he was tired all the time. Mommy, I'm so tired. Mommy, I just want to take a little nap. I'm like, okay, well, maybe he's old enough now. He recognizes when he's tired. Mm-hmm. He's going to tell me he's just tired. Okay.
Sure.
And we went to Disney, and I don't think smiled hardly at all. And we went with his cousin, who he loves. So when he's with her, like them two, like they play so well, and he wanted nothing. He didn't want to eat. It was just weird.
You could just tell he was not feeling good.
Something was up. Right. Yeah. So me and my husband went on a date night that night, and that was supposed to be the first night he was going to stay at his grandparents' house. And we went on a date that night to go see a movie. And in the movie, my stomach was it was very upset. And it just kind of like, it was in knots. Like something just didn't feel right. Yep. And I kept telling my husband, I'm like, I think we should take him in. We should just take him in. And he's like, no, we'll go tomorrow. It's late already. I'm like, no, I really think we should go. Maybe he's just dehydrated between the hurricane and maybe all the Motrin and he, being at Disney and it's hot. And maybe he's just really dehydrated. We'll get in. No one will be there. We'll get some fluids and we'll be out. We'll be home. No big deal. Well, we went in.
Mother's intuition.
Yeah. You had that gut feeling.
Yeah. I had something. And we went in and I gave him the whole backstory, the limp, everything. His labs were really good. Like they looked amazing. He wasn't dehydrated. I'm like, okay, that's weird. They did an x-ray, of the hip area and stuff. And that's when I'm really thankful for the ER doctor and the radiologist that was kind of on that night, because they pretty much came in and they were like, well, we don't like to say the C word, but we saw like a little something on the x-ray on the hip. We're going to go ahead and admit you just to see what else is going on. Plus it was like 1 a.m. They probably just wanted to,
sure.
Like, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. I didn't think
so. Your thoughts still at that point were like, yeah, they're just going to find something that's,
yeah. I'm like, the limp is gone. Why do you keep focusing on the leg? He's not even limping anymore. Right. There's nothing wrong. Okay. Yeah. So we got admitted, the next day they ran some more and they came back and they said, oh, well, it's a fracture. I'm like, a fracture? It didn't make sense to me. I'm like, I don't. So then they kind of were like, well, you need to try to remember what happened. Did he fall? Yeah. Wow. They start kind of looking at you. I'm like, listen, I'm a helicopter parent. I'm telling you, unless it happened at school and they didn't report it. Yeah. Nothing happened. Right. I don't, the orthopedic came in and said, that's not a fracture. I'm like, okay, wait. So the doctor's saying it's a fracture. The specialist is like, it's not.
It's a roller coaster already.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. 2-3 days in there. And he started to do this thing where he wouldn't really turn his neck. Like he would just kind of turn his whole body. And eventually I just pretty much told him, I was like, he's still not eating. I'm not leaving till we figure out why. And they went ahead and just did like a whole stomach ultrasound. Who knows? And
every test that
because
this parent wants it done, exactly, they're going to do every test.
Like, okay, well, he's not eating. Part of me said, well, we're in the hospital. It's really crappy hospital food. Like, sure, I don't eat it either. I don't blame him. But he just in his lymph nodes, you could start to see there was swelling in the lymph nodes.
Oh wow!
And so that's when I was like, okay, he's not moving his neck. Now there's swelling kind of in the lymph nodes. What else is going on?
So they had to have noticed at this time that you were a very intuitive parent that is noticing these things about your child.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. We had to figure it out, and I was going to kind of do whatever it took to sort of, when your gut, when you don't feel like if they give you an answer and it just doesn't sit right with you, keep going, because that is your gut, whether you want to sort of, some people are really intuitive with their guts and, some aren't. And I do this entire journey. I've been that same way, where my heart wants to tell me this is not true, or, but my gut says, well, this could be true. And I battle with that alone. But I always have told people, even now, like, if you get an answer on something that you think could be wrong with your child and it doesn't sit well with you, keep digging, just keep going.
So not to interrupt the story here, but there's science behind that. Angie and I've talked about it. She knows more about it than I do, but there's what they call a second brain in your gut. They're starting to learn more about it, but there's real science behind that being a real thing. Yeah. It's hard to trust it for some people.
I could see how that is hard, because it's like I said, it's hard to know, is that like a feeling, or is it my nerves?
Or is it fear?
Right. Is it your heart? Like, are they, it's, and it's hard. It's very hard.
But the science behind it would say it's telling you something, because there are the same neurotransmitters that are in your brain or in your gut.
It. So, and I'm an overthinker too. So sometimes I'm like, is it me overthinking causing my gut to believe what my mind wants? Like, I could go.
Of course.
But also, when you go to the hospital and you're going through something like this, it's your right to ask those questions and to ask for a deeper dive. It's your right.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of people just don't think that they can do that, really, but you can.
Or they're scared too.
Or they're scared.
And I'm kind of that person. I'm like, you're the professional. I don't want to say, I kind of grew up in the medical field. My mom's in integrative medicine now. And my whole life I've kind of been with her in and out of hospitals. So I'm a lot more knowledgeable in the medical aspect than probably some people are.
Sure.
So, and I also have that help kind of from her, where she's like, no, do this or do that, or you should ask for this or ask for that. So I'm lucky, but I also have that sort of gut intuition. And,
well, that's smart of you to keep asking for them to continue.
I did. Yeah. So we ended up, I'll never forget. And this part of the story, I feel like it sort of hits home sometimes to people. So if you're sensitive,
but listen through
for sure. Yeah. So, I remember we were waiting for the results to come in and stuff. And I was like, I'm going to go get lunch at Panera Bread. It was right down there. My husband was in the room and everything. And I was leaving. And as I'm leaving, I hear, Miss Rawls. And right then, I don't know what it was, but I knew it wasn't good. Literally, I knew it. And I turned around and I was like, yes. She said, are you leaving? Are you going to be, I said, well, I was just going down to get some lunch. Do I need to stay? And she said, well, if you could, that would be great.
Right.
And even talking about this now, kind of bringing me back, it kind of hits my emotions. So sorry.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I knew right then and there that it wasn't good. And she said, I have to go. I'm waiting, for someone else to come, and we'll be right in. And I remember I said, okay, yeah, sure. No problem. And I walked in and I slammed my purse down and I looked at my husband. I said, it's not good. He's like, don't say that. He's a very positive person. I'm kind of like the realistic, like.
That sounds like us. Yeah. I would be like, just think positive.
No, it's the gut. It's the feeling. That's what it is. And I said, it's not good. I'm telling you, it's not good. It's not good. And he's like, just relax. Just let him. And I was shaking and I was terrified. And the doctor came in. I don't know who this other person was that she was with. I think it's just support. Mm-hmm. And she literally came in and I felt like then I was in a movie. And she took a chair and I was sitting on one side of the bed. My husband was on the other, and she sat down and she was like, we did the ultrasound and it came back. And I'm like, okay. And she said, we saw something on his adrenal gland. And we think it's, neuroblastoma. I'm like, okay. And
What's that?
What? And she's like, it's a form of cancer. And I could do nothing. I just kind of stared at her.
You're numb.
I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And she's like, are you okay? Are you okay? I said, yeah, I'm good. I'm good. I gotta be strong. Like, I'm good, know?
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, well, we'll get the oncologist that's on call and they'll come up and from then on, some people don't remember everything. I don't remember exactly everything that happened. Cause it just snowballs right there. And I looked at my husband. It was literally like a bomb. It's like you threw a grenade and I'm just waiting for it to explode.
Yeah. Really. I feel like they should have counselors on hand in the rooms.
Yeah.
when
Yeah,
this
and maybe
happens.
I don't know, maybe that's what she was. It could have been. I don't know
Yeah.
who the other person was. Like maybe it was just a nurse to support her because,
Yeah.
Sometimes I think about, this doctor that was in there, she's not an oncologist doctor. She is just,
she gets to relay the information.
And I can't imagine how hard it is that she has to come in and tell a family that their child has cancer.
Yeah.
And she probably doesn't even know, she probably has a little bit of information about each type of cancer, but like an oncologist would, she doesn't know everything, the chances or
She's not a specialist in it.
exactly.
Yeah.
So to have to come in and on average, 43 kids a day are diagnosed with cancer. So on average, there the 43 doctors a day are having to come in and, diagnose a child and see a family go from like, hey, he has a fracture to holy crap, I have to fight for my life now or, my son's life now. And the first thing you ask that you think of is, okay, is he going to die? And what are his chances? And what the heck is neuroblastoma? And Google is like your best friend, but like your worst enemy at the same time.
Yeah.
Because
Anybody hears the C word, they automatically hear death. That's the anybody you've talked to, first thing you think of.
Yeah, absolutely. And it just, it was hard. I remember me and my husband, we cried and we cried and we cried. And I had I called my boss at the time, which is kind of funny because at the salon I was working at, like we raised money for cancer foundations that like help other kids. And that's why I kind of say sometimes life is a full circle because I never would have thought that now I'm kind of relying on this foundation and we're a big part of this foundation. My son does a lot of things with them and it's all like a full circle now.
Yeah.
And I just remember having to call her and tell her what they thought. She was the first person I called. Yeah. And my dad, I didn't want to call my dad. Cause he's a lot like me, the anxiety and the worry. And I didn't want to have to call and tell him that they think it's cancer.
Yeah.
So when did they find out, or when did you guys find out that it definitely was cancer?
Well, the date was September 18th. So it took about 3 days to really, really when they came in and told us, because neuroblastoma originates on the adrenal gland. So it was like 90% sure that it was neuroblastoma.
Right.
But then there is a whole slew of testing, especially with this type of cancer that they have to do. It's not just, we can, do bone marrow biopsies. It's CT scans, with a special scan called an MIBG scan, MRI of the brain. They do bone marrow biopsies, which is where they actually go in with a needle in the back of the hip area in the back. Of course, they knock them out, but they go back in there and they dig literally in your bone because the marrow is kind of in the bone, and they dig in there and take it out, and they want to test and see if it's in there at all. And my son had it everywhere. Like I don't know how he didn't complain except for the limp. He had 3 fractured vertebrae. He lost an inch of height. He had disease in every vertebrae. He had it in the hips, in the bone marrow. I'm not sure exactly how much bone marrow, but he was definitely probably 70 to 90% in his entire bone marrow, which is your blood system, right?
Yeah.
So it's going everywhere.
Everything.
The skull, I could totally get into it, but it was everywhere. I don't think if we would have found it when we did, I don't know how long.
So this is why it's so important to you to bring awareness.
Absolutely.
Because your child was normal, just running around, maybe there was all of a sudden, bam, he changed in behavior.
Yeah.
So
there was no definite sign. And with kids and cancer, there really always isn't a definite sign. Sometimes it's just constant fevers all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a limp. Sometimes it's, some kids, depending on how bad it gets, they stop walking because it hinders the walk. There's no full on,
and every
there's
kid
no
is
lump
different
or anything.
So you almost just have to be, I guess there's a fine line between being like over helicopter parent type. And I tend to be that way when mine were younger too, probably still. There's a fine line between that and being anxious about every little thing and not being aware enough.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a very fine line.
Because it's funny when you say that he came out limping like that. With one of my children, I would have been like, trauma.
Right.
Like, because that's how his personality, right? I'm like, oh, he don't want to go to school today.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? And he would have acted it up. So, you know what I mean? I think it's hard.
It's very hard. It's hard.
That.
And, and he was just there for his 3-year checkup, at the pediatrician. And, I can't So I used to always ask myself, why me? Why me? Why us? Why my family? And still to this day, I will still ask that. And now I ask it in a different light. Why does my son get to do so well and sort of survive when the people that we've sort of started this journey with either haven't survived or, and I ask it in more of a guilt now that I have, in the journey, but there is no answer. There is no one to blame. There is no one. There is nothing. It's just the hand we were dealt.
Yeah.
So I know that's a long discussion too, probably, but how is he doing?
He's doing great. Now it's been almost 2 years since diagnosis. September will be 2 years.
Right.
We call that a cancerversary in our world.
Cancerversary.
Yeah, cancerversary. And he's what you call NED. So some are NED, which is no evidence of disease. He is considered no evidence of active disease.
Okay.
Again, it gets kind of lengthy with this type of disease, but he still has mature disease that is, I guess you would say calcified would be the easiest way to say that. So it's not active, but it's still like in his body.
Dormant.
So dormant basically. Yeah. It's benign kind of. So usually they don't reignite. Now, with these type of cancer cells, you have to have about 10,000 cells in order for it to even be recognized on any kind of scan. So that's why they say no evidence of disease or active disease, because from what they can see on their scans, there is no evidence of any active disease right now. Doesn't mean there isn't disease there. It's either not active or they can't see it yet. So the whole cancer-free, you're not considered cancer-free until after 5 years. Some people will say in remission. I guess you could say that he's sort of in remission, although he is still on treatment. So to me, in remission is kind of someone who's sort of off treatment.
Yeah.
They're in remission for 5 years. Yeah. He's still on active treatment.
We've had to travel a lot. What is your treatment that he's on right now?
So right now he's on a clinical trial, which is funded, by an organization. And this is right now it's 4 pills a day, and it's basically an inhibitor. So they think that neuroblastoma uses certain pathways to sort of expand, or ignite. So this inhibitor is used to shut down that pathway in hopes that the neuroblastoma cells it turns them off.
Right.
Yeah.
Is the hope in this trial.
Do you have to go through testing? Does he have to go through testing still regularly? I would assume.
Yes. Yeah. Every month we go for labs, and then every 3 months I travel. We've been traveling since May of last year. We decided when the hospitals here he wasn't responding to treatment. Part of that could be because he has such mature disease that chemo attacks rapidly dividing cells. So if he's not amplified or the cells aren't rapidly dividing, it's going to hit it at a slower rate.
Right.
So it just wasn't really taking anything away. So eventually here they kind of ran out of options, I guess you could say, and they sort of didn't know where to go. And I took it into my own hands and said, well, we're going to go somewhere else. So we went to the next best place that we could find, which was in New York. And we traveled for almost a year there. Back in December of 2018, we had scans done and everything. And at first they said everything looked great. And then it came back on one of these scans that they thought he relapsed.
Oh, no.
I've been on both ends of the spectrum now. I've been on the end where your kid is diagnosed with cancer. I've been on the end where your kid is no evidence of disease. And then 3 years later, I've been on the end where I'm in, again, Home Depot. And, I get the call, the doctor wants to speak with you. Right then I knew it was bad.
Of course.
I knew because if it's good, the doctor will call you. If it's not good, the receptionist calls to see if you can talk. Right.
Yeah.
And I of course, was not going to pass up the opportunity no matter where I was at. And, that's when they told me that they saw some spots. And I'm like, well, okay, what does that mean? With his type of disease, it's a very, very hard disease. His is. So I could go into great lengths on that. But, them telling me that he relapsed was, I fell to the floor in Home Depot and I cried, and my son was there, and that moment people were kind of looking at me, because they knew something was wrong.
Right.
And I just wanted to scream to everyone, I hate cancer. Bleep, 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 bleep. And, and I wanted to spread the word about just cancer and how much I hate it. And I can't believe this is happening. And they immediately wanted to rush us like the next week or two for treatment, to start another treatment. That's actually extremely, It's extremely radioactive. I would have not been able to be in the room with him for a week. He would have sat in a lead room for a week, you know.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Chance of a secondary cancer is like 70%. And it might not even work.
I know.
And you don't know
That's
it's a
the
chance
scary
to take.
thing.
So did you decide not to do that?
I did. My gut, and here's where kind of the whole gut thing comes in. Again, with my mom sort of being in the industry and being able to look at labs and look at reports and read and the radiologist reports and stuff. And once all of, you know, we also do a PET scan, which some know can detect any, you know, the glucose uptake and stuff like that. And, so we do those because of the way his disease responds to an MIBG scan. His disease will always show up on there. It doesn't mean it's active. So that's kind of where I think the miscommunication can sometimes come in. So we always do a PET scan, and his PET scan was clean. It was clear. And when I kept looking at all these scans, I'm like, it doesn't make sense to me. There's nothing that solidifies the one test. There's nothing else to solidify that it is a relapse. And I told them, and I said, I want to go get a second opinion. So we went to another hospital in Michigan, in Grand Rapids, who is also the doctor there. She's also a world-renowned neuroblastoma expert.
Oh, that's where you want to be.
You have to. You have to.
Yeah.
You absolutely have to, especially for neuroblastoma. You have to go to someone that specializes in it, because there's protocol out there, right? So no matter what hospital you kind of go to, they all have the standard protocol. And there's, I guess, standard unions, you know, there's a COG protocol and this protocol, but they're all kind of the same. It's what happens when your child doesn't respond to protocol is when you now have to venture out and find someone who's willing to deviate from that protocol and willing to not be so cookie cutter with your child and figure out exactly what your child's needs are.
Because everyone's different. We've talked about this.
They are. Yeah, everyone is different, and this disease is different. It's very different. So we left and went there, and we talked to her about it. He went 8 weeks with no treatment, and I was absolutely terrified because I'm like, oh my goodness, if he relapsed, like if you relapse, they say there's like a 0%, not that there's not a cure, but there's no protocol for it, right?
Yeah.
So now you relapsed, we have nothing for you. We're just going to throw what we think may work, what may not work at it. And it's scary.
So did the specialist in Michigan recommend no treatment for 8 or no?
No, it was just kind of how it panned out. It was over the holiday time. We found out on December 27th that he relapsed. So literally like right after Christmas.
What a
So between
day.
like Christmas and New Year's, doctors are gone. Like they're gone.
They're on vacation.
And I had to fight insurance to get up there because it was like an out of network thing. So I luckily have a very great case manager, but most don't. But I had to fight very, very hard to get him up there. And I was emailing. I mean, I'm relentless, like with everything. So I just kept going until I finally got a response from them up there. And I said, I want to come there for a second opinion. And there's a doctor down here that we now deal with who's also kind of specializes in neuroblastoma, not to the extent of the doctor up there. But if I had to go to him and he kind of works like with her group.
Yeah.
So if I had to, I would have. So we eventually got up there and we did the testing that we did. And he in fact was clean according to a PET scan and a CT.
Wow.
He was clear. So now I'm on the end again where there is no evidence of disease. So I've kind of been on that roller coaster of emotions.
Does it make you feel like if you got news like that, you feel more informed now that if it came from the standard protocols, then you would know, probably not. I need to talk to the specialist again. Yeah.
I mean, I always kind of think like we go for scans in 3 weeks and leading up to that.
Yeah, I can't imagine what that's like.
It's very hard. But we just had labs and those are kind of a little reassuring sometimes because you're like, well, the numbers didn't skyrocket, but that doesn't mean that there isn't disease.
Yeah.
It just detects maybe if you have a big tumor that is secreting anything and stuff like that. You know, sometimes some kids, their labs are pinpoint exactly, you know, their disease and others, they can relapse and they're perfectly normal. You would never know. Yeah.
So
that scares me.
When you go through the tests, these regular tests repeatedly, is the specialist the one that sort of looks at those tests?
Well, because we're on the clinical trial for up there, so Orlando Health down here they have this clinical trial, which is something that he would normally have been on if he would have completed standard protocol.
Right.
You do this trial for 2 years. It's maintenance, basically, is what they consider it. We're what you call on the compassion trial, which is only offered in Michigan. So the doctor there runs it, but we go down here to a neuroblastoma doctor or just the hospital down here. They run the labs and everything, and then they send them up to her. So she has everything because it's what's needed for the trial.
And whatever news you get. it because it's going through them.
Yeah. And I think about that sometimes. I play all different kinds of scenarios in my head, and it sometimes it eats me up because I am an overthinker, and I'll play the scenario again of what if they tell me he relapses? What am I going to do if I'm in the room?
Hard not to be for anybody. In that situation, Would
I trust what she had to say and what treatment she would recommend? And I do. Yeah. I think it would depend on what the scans showed.
We've proven that by what you've said that your gut told you in both instances. So I think it's important to still listen to that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. I would. It would, and that's the thing. It would all depend on the scenario, what it came back as, where they said a relapse was, and biopsies. I've known people that just this doctor alone said, we're pretty sure that this is a neuroblastoma, and they thought their daughter had relapsed, and it wasn't. It's I forget what they call it, but it looks and acts. It's a fake neuroblastoma, but it shows up on scans, right?
Yeah.
And the doctor that we go to up there, she said, well, we're going to biopsy it just to see. And it ended up not being neuroblastoma. And I'm like, I was telling my friend, you are so lucky. And this is why I love this doctor up there in Michigan, because if it was anywhere else, they would have just treated her. Yeah. They would have been like, she relapsed, and they would have treated her, and she didn't need it.
Right.
And, she's now on the same trial my son is on to help this. So I feel confident in the doctor up there. And, they run a whole genetic testing panel on his original tumor. And
oh, wow.
It's a whole lot of medical stuff and jargon.
It's interesting. So, you've gone through this roller coaster of emotion with this. And I feel like, instead of just sort of focusing on your son and your family, and you've now, since all of that, you've sort of reached out to the community. You talk about your friend.
Yes.
Other people that have children that are dealing with this. You've started this, you've started sort of awareness going through Alex's Lemonade Stand. You've started the Golden Warrior thing we're going to talk about in a minute. What sort of led you into wanting to get, sort of start helping other people that are dealing with this, and not just, a lot of people would just focus on their own problem.
Yeah. And sometimes I want to, sometimes I'm like, I can't wait to be out of it. I don't want to be in it anymore. But that's the problem, is that so many people don't want to be in it. They turn the head, maybe because they've been affected by it personally, or because it's a child.
Or they feel like it's too much.
It's too much.
It is too much
sensitive.
for some people.
It is. And to see a little child that has no hair and, all these things, it's hard. It's hard for me. My pictures pop up on my display thing all the time. And sometimes it'll have a picture when he was 2 years old, and it has a picture when he had no hair side by side. And I just stand there and I look at it. One, I'm like, wow, how far we've come.
Right.
And two, wow, I had no idea he probably had disease at this time. And then look, and so I just it started by really just kind of raising awareness. Apopka for me, when he was first diagnosed, I mean, almost immediately, my friends, people that, you kind of talk to, you're on Facebook friends with, but you're not like friends with, even those people just kind of, they were like, they rallied behind my family. They rallied behind us. We had 2 fundraisers set up, within October, November of that year. And I mean, they went above and beyond for my family. The fire department went above and beyond for my family with the donations and just raising awareness. Yeah. And when it started for me last year, I was like, I think I really you see pink everywhere you go.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm a little biased because I'm in a whole different realm. And I think we all kind of have our sort of specialty or what we're really close with, and childhood cancer is mine. And I said, I want childhood cancer to look like breast cancer. I want September to be lit gold like October is lit pink.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I had that drive, and I said, I have a big community. We're pretty known around here. I think we can have the help. I think we can do it. And so I started posting about it, and immediately the fire department came through, the police department came through, and I kind of have this sort of hashtag turn Apopka gold. And that was kind of, every day I was like, I don't care what you do. I don't care if you just, put a banner in the front of your thing that says, I'm going gold for childhood cancer. Yeah. I can give you a picture of my son if you want, where people walk in, and some people may notice it and some may not. But eventually, in years to come, people will start seeing gold or yellow, either one, kind of both is sort of the color, gold or yellow. And they will say, wow, that's childhood cancer. Just like when you see
Associate
pink,
it.
you associate that with breast cancer.
Yeah.
And that's my ultimate goal. And that's all of our goal in the cancer community, in the childhood cancer community. And I feel like every year it does get bigger, not just with Apopka in of itself, but that last year kind of also helped inspire some other moms who are like in Winter Garden, over in DeLand, Port Orange area. That kind of inspired them to sort of say, hey, I want my town to turn gold too, or just do something. And it did. And it sparked a couple of other towns. And for me, that's kind of what drives me to do it, even being in my own battle.
Yeah. Well, we're going to hopefully help with that and make that a really every house. Let's get every house. When that and every business.
Every business.
Yeah.
At least,
I mean, September, they've already got Halloween stuff out. You go get Halloween orange, or the yellow lights, Christmas lights. Some people will use their yellow Christmas lights and they just kind of display them. I have a big gold ribbon around my tree that I kept all year long. There's a little flag thing I have out front. Yeah. Some people will write on their cars, Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. I mean, it's just that some people have made wreaths for their doors, or if I'm creative, but I'm not creative enough, but there's people that can make really good wreaths out there. Yeah. And I've seen some last year where they made them and they just hang them on the door. And even if it's just the mailman or mail lady that comes to your door and
sees it. People drive by though and see it.
Oh, absolutely. Right.
So I know we're going to have some discussions about this off the air about how we're going to help with that and how we really want to help with painting Apopka gold. We want to see the ribbons, and it's great that people are doing it everywhere, but I think seeing a ribbon everywhere would really get people thinking, what is that about?
Exactly. Yeah. What does that mean?
Why am I seeing those all over the place in Apopka? That's what I'm hoping to add.
That's exactly it. To create like a uniform type thing is, wow, I saw a ribbon here, and
why is there one there?
How do I get one?
There
or
we go.
The Apopka police, well, they're going to be wearing ribbons this year. Luckily, I was so excited about that one. We talked about that because with their uniforms, they can't really wear, yellow or gold shirts and stuff. And they have to stay pretty clean and tactical gear. So, but they're gonna be able to wear a little gold ribbon, which is nice. Great. And they have a gold those magnets on the car that they did them last year, but it took a while to get in, so they were only on for like a week or two. But this year they have them, so all the cars will have they have like a gold magnet,
That's
and
great.
then the fire department wears shirts. I can't remember last year if they did it just on the weekends. I think it was.
But any little bit helps.
Yeah, exactly. Because people see it, especially when you're the fire department or police department.
While we're into that, can you tell our listeners a little more about the Golden Warrior Project and the Golden Warrior
Festival? Yeah, the Golden Warrior. It could be Golden Warrior. It's a project. For me, it's a project of just going gold, right? So it could be both. Yeah, the Golden Warrior Festival.
The Golden Warrior Festival. Can you tell everybody what that is?
Yeah. So my main goal with this festival is to raise awareness. Again, raise awareness, but have fun while doing it. I feel like, sometimes just you need to sort of entice people to come out, to have fun, but also while they're doing that, and mostly for kids, is to sort of raise awareness that it could be your family, it could be your child, and that this year I'm raising money to go towards Alex's lemonade stand.
Right.
And this foundation is a little close to me. Alex was a little girl. She was born in 97, I think it was, and she was diagnosed with neuroblastoma as well. She's the one who sort of came up with the lemonade stand idea when she was 4 years old. So they just started a little lemonade. Yeah, right. I mean, I don't think my son, he's 4. I don't think he would have any idea to do a lemonade stand, but some kids are just bright at that age, and she wanted to do it to help raise money, to find for research. And even if it's 25 cents, it all goes somewhere and it all helps. Right. And it's added up over before she passed away from neuroblastoma cancer, when she was 8 years old, I think it was, in 2004. I think she raised almost $1 million.
That's amazing.
Within that time frame. I don't believe it was just her alone, but just people who want to say, you know what, today I'm just going to host a lemonade stand. If your child in the summertime wants to set up a lemonade stand in their neighborhood, you can easily contact Alex's Lemonade Stand, tell them you want to host a stand. They'll send you stuff to do it. Doesn't matter. Sell 5 cents. Even if you made $20, that $20.
What I like is that she was the inspiration for it, but this is a great way to get kids involved. So, because we need to get kids, we talk about this a lot, get your kids involved in being more aware of the needs of others,
Yes.
And who cares if they don't make a dime? No. They're out there taking their time away from their, social life, playing or video games, whatever it is. And they're putting their effort towards, something that is a real need.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of that with a lot of our followers, or Aiden's followers, should I say. I actually meet a lot of people, and I always like to tell people, if you ever see us out in Apopka, please don't hesitate to say hi. I hear that a lot. They're like, well, I saw you at this restaurant, or I didn't want to bother you. Please bother me. I love it. I love seeing, people come up sometimes with their kids, and they'll send pictures of their kids that are sporting an Aiden Strong shirt and stuff like that. And now that he has hair, sometimes he's not as recognizable as he was when he didn't have hair. And I actually had a client that said, Aiden, that Aiden? I said, yeah, he's that Aiden. She was like, oh my gosh, I didn't put it together.
Sure.
So if you ever see us out, say hi. But we do have a lot of the families that follow us and stuff like that. It's nice to see their kids will get in to support Aiden, even if it's just wearing an Aiden Strong shirt. I know at the elementary school, they do some awareness with childhood cancer. I think it's Dream Lake Elementary. And I've had people, we want an Aiden Strong shirt, to promote, to just put it out there because they were touched by us. They know us personally.
Right.
Or
when you know
touched by
somebody
us.
personally, you're more likely to get involved with it too. I mean, unfortunately,
I consider everyone who follows us like my friends, like our friends.
Yeah.
They're our friends, they're our family, they're our supporters. Honestly, like without them, I don't know. I mean, it's hard. It's really hard.
Well, so it's funny. Before we kind of go back into what the Golden Warrior Festival, not project is.
Sorry.
No. But we've changed our schedule on the podcast here. We were going to interview you a while back, and we decided we want to do it closer to the actual festival, not project. But when we posted about it, like our Facebook came alive, and my personal, we love Aiden. All people I know from high school, the people that don't even know from high school. Yeah. So that was really nice to see.
He's pretty well known. We have almost 7,000 followers, and a majority of them are from here, just in Apopka. We have a few that are like in Ireland and stuff, which is actually really cool to see.
That is cool.
Sure.
They'll send him, shirts and stuff. And I love it because it's so cool to see that. I think we have one from like Japan. How does it reach that far?
That's right.
First off, is absolutely crazy. But it's
cool,
really,
though.
it's really cool to see. But we do, a majority of them are like from here in Apopka, and so, and a lot of people are like, oh wait, and you start to kind of put two and two together, and you know this person, you know who he is. I know what, like,
Just seeing how so many people care, though. That's huge.
It's even still. I mean, now that he's doing well, and this is the thing that sometimes people tend to forget, is just because he's doing well doesn't mean the fears aren't there, the cancer isn't there,
and the risk isn't there.
The risk isn't there.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, his chance of relapsing, any child with neuroblastoma, is at 50%, right?
Yeah.
His chance of surviving 5 years is 40%, 40 to 50%. So, I mean, that's a big risk of not being able to make it, till he's 10 years old. Like, and that's hard as a family to think about that. So even if a child is doing well, or even if they're not on treatment, or even if I'm not posting every day, or, sometimes you only see things pick up when they tend to be sad posts or not good posts, but
or their appearance. So let's talk about that. Just because Aiden has hair and is talking your ear off and is running around and playing doesn't mean that he doesn't still face some challenges or have risks.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for the festival itself, I know it's going to be at Beef O'Brady's in September. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Yeah, sure. So we're trying to do it as a car and truck show this year. That's just to have people come out. I feel like those are fun. Who doesn't love coming out looking at custom cars?
Well, and if you
trucks
have a car, you want to show it off.
That's
so
why
you've got a
please
fancy
do.
car or truck. It's not just for driving around.
No,
no.
There will be a lot of people there. It's going to be on a Saturday. It's going to be busy. We're going to pray there's no hurricanes in September.
Yes.
That's my birthday weekend, and I swear it's either over Aiden's birthday or my birthday. There's always some kind of tropical disturbance. So let's all hope that doesn't happen.
Maybe I bring an umbrella, but still.
Come out. I don't care, rain or shine. We're going to be out there. Yeah,
the rain is fun to play in.
It is. Live a little. That's kind of my thing right now. Is just live a little.
We run from it as adults, but we want to run into it as children. Yeah, we need to get back to that mentality.
That is so true. Didn't think about that.
Yeah, start looking around when it starts raining, buddy. The kids are like,
hey, I know. I always tell Aiden, I'm like, go play in the rain. I can change your clothes. He's finicky about that. But so it's we're hoping to turn it into a car and truck show. But if that doesn't end up happening, it's still gonna be a great time just for families to come out, learn a little bit, eat food at Beef's. We're gonna have a face painter there, henna artist, a bounce house or a game. We're not sure quite yet on that. We're gonna have a train, the train rides for little kids. and a few other things.
Fine and Angie will be there.
Yes, yes, you guys will be there, of course. That are going to be going on, and just sort of, again, raising awareness, raising money for we are going to have a lemonade stand out there. So, and it's actually nice. A kid that kind of runs it or started it for another friend of ours who has cancer here in Apopka for their son. So he's someone will be out there doing that. Cool. Yeah, it really is. And to now have like a cool lemonade stand to go towards Alex's lemonade stand is going to be really neat.
Yeah, that'll be great. I'm excited to see that too.
Yeah, that kind of worked out perfect. Buy lemonade, and we'll be taking donations for Alex's lemonade stand there. If you want to enter your car or truck into the show, it is a $50 entry fee, but that's all going towards Alex's lemonade stand. So, your donation is going to a good cause.
Sure.
And this cause, they actually, and what I kind of explained to people too is, Aiden is a product of a clinical trial right now. It's not the one from Alex's lemonade stand, but it is a clinical trial that people have put funded. Donations and that parents have started. They started this foundation, and they all came together and said, we have to do something more. Right. And it sort of trickles down from that. So while Aiden is not a product of, let's say, Alex's lemonade stand, he is still right now a product of a clinical trial. So that's what Alex's lemonade stand does. They do clinical trials for all types of cancers, and they just recently actually opened up a clinical trial for neuroblastoma.
Oh, that's great.
And all of that was due to the funding and donations that people have given, and sometimes if you want to say you want to host a lemonade stand and there's a specific type of cancer you want it to go to neuroblastoma, say you're touched by Aiden, you can donate specifically for that research, or if there's a different type of cancer, or just as a whole,
let them kind of delve it out where it needs to go.
That's exactly what they do. So it has a very
to parents, this is such a great thing. I mean, this is a great thing to get your kids involved.
Especially in the summertime. That's when the lemonade stands are big.
Yeah. And I wish I would have done this I didn't get my kids involved in anything like this.
I honestly,
we weren't affected by anything like this.
Exactly.
That's the sad part of it. If you're not personally affected, you generally don't get involved.
And that's why my drive is so big, is because when he was diagnosed, he was diagnosed in Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. I had no idea it was Childhood Cancer Awareness Month.
Yeah. And I don't pretend know until we talked to you.
Yeah. No. I don't pretend to know. I mean, I know
October because my mom had breast cancer, but really
a lot of people know October, right? Everywhere you go, dealerships. I mean, I was so funny. I'll kind of point out, I'm like, that one should be gold. Like, I get a little and my mother-in-law had breast cancer. So I definitely, I've been in that world, and, only 4% of the National Cancer Institute, donation money goes for childhood cancer. 4%. And that's an average. Some years it's 3%, some it's less, some it's 5%. But on average, they get 4%.
That's not much.
Breast cancer gets 12. I think pancreatic cancer gets the so, they're the most highest funding of any cancer. And that 4%, 12% goes specifically for, breast cancer or a different type of cancer. Childhood cancer, which can have 17 types of cancers, and then the subgroups within those cancers. 4% is going to that entire group. Yeah. Not divided. 4% to neuroblastoma. 4%. No, the entire group.
Yeah.
And, I consider us, 50% survival is terrible. But there are cancers out there that in 30 years have a 0% chance. So I try to consider myself, lucky even with this, but it can be better.
Yeah, of course. Well, so we're looking forward to coming to the festival, and I'll put a link in the show notes. So if you're listening to this on your device, you can scroll down, click on the link, go find out how you can attend, how you can bring your car or truck if you have one, how you can buy a t-shirt to help support things.
The cutoff is soon for that.
Yeah, the cutoff is soon because I'm trying to have them in time, and I do have to have a minimum amount. I have to have like a minimum print of like 24 shirts, and we are not close to that. So I definitely got to start kind of getting that out there. It's the same shirts that the fire department wore last year. I think this year it's just a different color because they can't wear the same color as the fire department. Might mix that up, but it's the same cancer awareness shirts that they wear.
We'll post the design as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that's another great way, because some people will ask, how do I support childhood cancer through the month? Wear a little gold ribbon with a pin every single day. I have shirts. This one I'm wearing now, you can't see, but it says a cure worth fighting for.
Right.
This Apopka shirt with the fire department, it says, believe, and it has a cancer ribbon, and you can sport that shirt. Your kids can sport that shirt. Sure. Not just in September, but
what is the deadline for that?
August 1st would probably have to be the latest because like I said, they need about a month print time. So give them a little bit of leeway so I can have them ready for pickup at the show.
Okay, so we'll start posting about that as well over the next couple of weeks to try to drive up traffic.
And we talked about the wreaths on the doors, the ribbons on the doors.
Lights. I mean, if you have trees, ribbon. I mean, I've seen people make little, like they went to the dollar store and they've got like the mason jars and they put, I don't know, like lights in they looked really cool all from the dollar store. So for $5, you can have some kind of with a little tea light outside that just kind of is a gold or yellow, bracelets. And, I might have some more bracelets left that we'll bring.
All right, Elena. So this is a local event here in Apopka. Tell us a little more about how the city of Apopka gets involved and what kind of participation, how is the community and city helping out?
Yeah. So, again, the biggest thing is kind of with the festival. So definitely you can participate if you would like to volunteer. We will eventually start calling for volunteers. We're going to have candy machines, snow cone machines, stuff like that. So we'll definitely need some volunteers. Even if you have like a high school student or something that would like to just, I'm not sure about being able to write off hours per se, because I'm not a nonprofit, but, even if they just want to come and help out and it's only for a few hours. It's from 11 to 2. So a few hours on a Saturday.
We should bring our kids to.
We are going to
have them help. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, my kids are grown-ups, but I'm going to make them come.
You know what? It's okay. It's okay. It starts with the kids. So if you want to volunteer time, obviously coming to the event and just sort of showing up, even if you can't, making a donation to Alex's Lemonade Stand is a great way to participate. Sporting the gold ribbons, things like that we talked about. The bigger aspect of the community, like the fire department and the police department, which they're actually going to have their big Popka SWAT truck will be out there as well.
Oh,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited. I love it when that thing comes. It's so fun.
Cool.
Every time my son gets in there, it's different. It's a different reaction every time. Like, as he gets older, it's something new. But the kids love that. So that'll be out there.
So do adults.
I like sitting in that big. I feel like I'm in like a big bunker
invincible man.
Exactly.
Like the A-team, right?
Yeah, and the fire trucks will be out there and stuff. And so the fire department does sport the shirts, the same shirts we're going to be selling. I can't remember again if it's on the weekends, but they still sport the shirts through the month of September.
Yeah.
They kind of talk about it. Now, last year when we were in New York traveling, actually the entire fire department came up there to do the stair climb. And I think there was like 20 of them. And we used to stay at the Ronald McDonald house there. So even that's another really great thing for people to know is sometimes when you go to McDonald's and you see put your extra change for Ronald McDonald house, that helps a family like mine.
Yeah.
It costs on average about $35 a night for a family. And so some families can't afford it, or we can ask for financial aid or write it off. So even your 2 cents going into a Ronald McDonald, that little bin, either through the drive-thru or when you're inside.
That's what I say. Every little penny helps.
It does. And again, that's kind of helped us because we stayed at Ronald McDonald. One time we stayed there for almost 2 months.
Wow.
We were in New York trying to rev up everything.
Sure.
And can you imagine, even if it wasn't $35 a night? Yeah, a hotel, or even $35 a night for 6 weeks, 8 weeks.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. And then you have to eat and you have to, so every little donation for that helps. But
so for those that aren't really clear on exactly what the Ronald McDonald House is, it's a quote house, but it's like a hotel where families can come and stay when they're needing to travel for things related to this. Is that right? Yeah,
it's your home away from home. It's basically, sort of a discounted way of staying. And they have a great atmosphere there especially because there are some people that travel from China. Especially when I was in New York, majority of them are going to the hospital I was going to, and they've international. The one in New York, I don't know if it's the biggest one, but it's probably pretty close to it. It's like 11 stories tall.
Wow.
It looks just like a hotel. But they provide, especially during the summertime. We had so many experiences there that they provide, and those are mostly generously donated from big companies in New York, or just big companies in general. We would have actors that would come there and meet with the kids. Yes, I got to meet Chris Pratt, and that was amazing.
Oh my gosh, cool.
Yeah, my son had anesthesia that day, and I made my husband stay back. I said, "Is it okay if just the mom comes? Like, does my kid have to be here?" Luckily, he made it at last minute. But those are the moments that as families or as children, my son has no idea who Chris Pratt is. He loves the movie. We got to go to a private screening of his movie. He like sat in the movie theater with us.
Which one?
Like,
Guardians of the Galaxy? Or?
No, the second Jurassic World.
Jurassic Park? Oh, no.
Yeah, the Jurassic World. And
Jurassic
he signed,
World, yeah.
a toy. My son
cool.
has zero idea who he is, but in the future he will. But they provide those for the families.
Gives a relief, too, in the middle of all that trauma.
It does.
It's nice to have, yes.
Even if it's just the mom going.
Hey, I needed that more than anything. That was something to look forward to.
Sure.
Yeah.
So they provide food. They'll have like volunteers that will come in and cook dinners and stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
So really your donations kind of go towards that, towards the people that can't afford it. Or even if they can, I mean, every little, it helps anywhere you can alleviate. And
yeah, because even if you can afford it, it's still putting a huge financial burden on your family.
As we're wrapping up here, we are wrapping up. Are there any other charities or organizations, businesses that you want to mention or you want us to mention or put links to?
Well, yeah, there's a few that I'll just kind of throw out there that are sort of helping us with this festival. Of course, you guys, Dan and Angie. Mm-hmm. Love Your Melon UCF campus crew they're actually a really big part of just children in general. So if you do have a child in college or at UCF and they would love to be involved in doing good, especially pediatric cancer, Love Your Melon is kind of always looking to sort of add to their club. And they visit hospitals for children. They do sort of special days for children. They volunteer at Base Camp, which is a foundation. So they're a really good campus crew. They're going to be a part of it. We love those girls. My son loves those girls. But Love Your Melon in general, they're also, they've done a lot for my family.
Name. I love the name.
Yeah. Love Your Melon is in your head. And I love when people ask me about it because I wear the hat Love Your Melon. And some people say, what is that?
It stirs conversation.
It does stir. It can, yeah. And for me, I'm like, the first thing I say is, well, my son has cancer and Love Your Melon donates 50% of their profits from their sales to childhood cancer research.
That's pretty amazing.
So everything that if you go onto their website, and you buy a hat or their big thing is their beanies. They're known for their beanies, which I have a ton of those, but here in Florida, can't really wear them. But they have, headbands, shirts. I mean, you name it, they have it. And they all kind of say Love Your Melon. And, 50% of that goes towards childhood cancer research, and they donate to all different types of organizations on their website somewhere. It's in there, everyone and how much they've donated to the organizations. Aiden's been kind of a face of Love Your Melon too, so we love them. They're great. So the girls are going to help us with the festival. We have Big Al's Party World. They're going to be donating either a bounce house or a inflatable game or something like that the day of. St. John's Law Group is actually a friend of someone from the Love Your Melon campus crew, and their family is going to kind of help us. It costs money if you can't sort of run off donations and stuff to put something like this together.
Of course.
So they're kind of helping us by kind of giving a donation for any supplies and things, the little things that we may need
can add up.
Can add up. Yeah. Of course, Beef O'Brady's also for hosting this for me. They hosted a fundraiser event for us when he was first diagnosed. And, Ed, the owner, he's just great.
Yeah.
He's fantastic when it comes to asking for these things or doing these things and hosting these things. And he's really great in the community. So I'm happy that we sort of get to use them. And it's great for them too, because it also gives people a place to eat.
Yeah.
Who doesn't like beef?
And everybody talks about Beef O'Brady.
Exactly.
My half sister, Jo Lynn, works there now.
Oh, does she?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I told her we're going to be up there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll be up there. And it's a great time. It's a great time. We might start looking for stuff for raffles. That may be something we do.
But thanks for sitting with us. I know this is not something that you want to talk about all the time or kind of relive like you did. But I think, hearing your story for someone like me, and I have trouble with even fictional stories about kids.
Sure.
But it makes me want to get involved and help more. And however I can, I know Angie, you feel the same way, but I think people listening to the show here, you don't want to be depressing and everything during the show. It's supposed to be fun to listen to a podcast, but I think
it needs to be serious. Yeah.
I think there's more value in this because your story, I think for anyone that's had kids and even people that haven't, it's very hard to hear.
Yeah.
And it makes people want to do whatever they can to help.
I hope it does. I hope that's in 10 years from now and 5 years from now, whatever it is, even when Aiden's older, we always talk about this. He has no idea right now what's going on.
Right.
He just
He
thinks
gets
he's having
toys
fun
and fun.
yeah.
And, he has a port, and some people know what a port is, but it basically it's a central line, but it's under the skin, and it sticks out, and he'll go around and show people his port. He was at the pool the other day, and a little kid said, what is that? I haven't had to explain yet to a littler kid or a child exactly what cancer is or what he has. And I still don't know how. I still don't know how to tell my own son, like, you have cancer. Like, I don't. Some parents do, and I don't. I don't know how to do it. I don't know what the easiest way is for him to even comprehend it. And I sort of want him to keep his innocence,
Sure.
and not have to think about that, because kids do. They will think about things even when you don't think they do.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
And so, he was talking about the port, and he'll show you his port, and we call it his shark bite. He's full of scars all over. And one day, I want him to sort of take on what I'm doing. And even if it's not till he's in high school, I want him to raise awareness for kids that are just like him. And I hope he is a product of the clinical trials and he makes it, and he does good, and he's humble when he's older, and he can help other kids that maybe are even going through it, like,
Right.
hey, I went through it.
Yeah.
We'll do it together. Like, some days I want to be out of this, but
Like
then
a little
some days
buddy
I can't.
mentor program.
Yeah. Even that would be cool. Just because we need support, even though we're not in it as much as we did. Like, we need support. And even if it's just, I think it was last week or the week before, I got a message on Aiden's page, and it just was like, she just, I want to tell you that you have helped me. You've helped me want to raise awareness. You've brought this to my attention, and you're so strong, and you're this and you're that. And for me, like, it was a day that, like, I needed to hear it.
Yeah.
And so I tell people, don't ever be afraid to say hi to me. Don't ever be afraid to, private message me, email Aiden, or message Aiden's page. Don't ever.
Yeah. Because they might feel like they're bothering you because you have so much going on. But what people
you
don't
help me.
realize,
He'll talk to you. Aiden will talk to you.
Yeah. And you need that interaction too.
I do. Yeah.
You need people that are going through a struggle. You don't have to talk about the cancer.
No.
People just talk about
life. What's going
Just,
on.
hey, what's up? Hello.
Yeah.
Make it a positive conversation.
Sure, absolutely.
And then I also wanted to say about, when sometimes people don't know where to get started when giving back. It doesn't have to be big.
No, not at all.
Come out to the event.
Right.
Come out, just to come for a fun day.
And people say, I don't have any money to donate. I have $10. This is why I try to put in our post that, rather than not donate because you only have a little bit of money, every little bit of that will add up. So.
Sure. And it really does. That's why they say, even if you charge 25 cents for a cup of lemonade, or you want to charge $25,
Right.
it all adds up. And, I'm not a huge donator type person. I don't donate to a lot of things. But even if, I know Five Below in June was doing a big thing for Alex's lemonade stand. And, I'll donate $1. Just, I'll donate, and it
thousands
all
of people
that,
go through there. That's
exactly.
thousands of dollars.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it all, even if you don't have to donate. For me, it's just, it's kind of opening your mouth.
time.
Exactly. Your time, or even just taking a childhood cancer fact that you may learn, or you'll see me post, or things like that. Yeah. And, just talk about it.
Sure.
Yeah. Or that's what I was going to say. Another great way is to post that you're going to an event that is about cancer awareness, because that's going to reach more people, and they're going to say, where are you going?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
All right.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I think we're done, even though we said we'd wrap it up 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, but thank you so much for sitting to talk
absolutely.
to us
Thank
about
you
this.
for
We
having
really
me.
appreciate
Yeah.
it.
All right.
And we're really excited to come to the event.
I'm really looking forward to it. So
it's going to be great.
We hope to see all of you out there too, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys. We'll be right back after a quick break. Are you looking for a terrifyingly good cup of coffee? If so, head over to the Coffee Shop of Horrors in Mount Verde, Florida. I accidentally discovered this place because the outside of it is done up like almost like a haunted house. There's a skeleton or a skull on the sign, and inside the place, it's equally as spooky, with memorabilia from comic books and art that's all spooky. There's a couple of fake trees in there that are done up like Halloween, but most importantly, they have really good snacks like donuts that are compliant with both the plant paradox diet and the paleo diet, and their coffee blew me away. The La Lorna is the flavor that I tried, and it was amazing. And the staff there are amazing as well. I was able to meet with the owner, or undertaker as he's called, Nick Really nice guy. Came up and told me all about how they prepare their coffees, how they can grind to order, how they make so many different flavors, and they're really creative names too. All the casing and all the packaging is like spooky faces and different characters. But again, most importantly, the coffee and the snacks are amazing. I can't recommend the place enough. Can't wait to get back there because it's now one of my very favorite coffees. That's the La Lorna, again, I think it's called. It's the Coffee Shop of Horrors located in Mount Verde, Florida. Catch them at coffeeshopofhorrors.com. And when you go, tell them that you heard about them on It's All Fine and Dangy. Hey guys, welcome back. And now it's time for our information station. I'm not doing it with the train noises. But I did want to take a minute to sort of reflect on the interview that we had with Elena and thank Elena again for coming to talk to us, or actually inviting us to their home to talk to them. We got to meet Aiden.
So
sweetest little kid.
So cute. Talk your ear off.
He was telling me about he wanted to go do putt-putt golf that they'd recently done, and funnily enough, I have done putt-putt golf at the course he was talking about, and I still love putt-putt golf. But sweetest little kid. It's the first time I've ever met him, and because we're getting ready to record, and he was leaving with his dad, we didn't really get a chance to talk too much, but Elena was like, "Oh, he'll talk your ear off," and I was like, "I would love that," because I love to talk to little kids that like to talk. He's just full of energy, and it was great.
I know. I texted Elena, tell her thank you, and I said, it was nice meeting Aiden. I'm sure he could keep us entertained for hours.
No doubt.
I mean, literally, you could probably just.
And he was super inquisitive too. Like he was talking about the down at City Walk, the putt-putt golf with the haunted house.
Yeah.
And he was telling me about the different holes. And did you knock your ball up to the haunted house door and all this stuff?
Gosh.
And I said, I don't remember, but because it's been a while.
You were having a deep conversation.
We were, but then I said the other part of the golf course there is like space aliens and stuff. And he said, which one? And I said the one right next to the haunted house. And he's like, well, I didn't do the space alien one. You could tell he was just...
He probably always picks the other one, too. He probably likes that one.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's a very sweet kid, and it was very nice to meet him. But we did a little research after we talked to Elena to kind of more clearly define for those of you and those of us that may not know exactly what neuroblastoma is. What I knew from talking to Elena is that it's a form of childhood cancer, but I didn't really know much more beyond the fact that it sort of starts in the adrenal gland.
Yeah.
What I found out is, by definition, neuroblastoma it's malignant tumors that are composed of what's called neuroblasts, plural, which are basically immature nerve cells that a fetus makes as part of the development process. So it's normal to have these neuroblasts. But typically they'll turn into a nerve cell or fibers that turn into the actual adrenal glands, or they just sort of dissolve and disappear over time as the fetus develops. But sometimes they don't mature into these cells or fibers, and instead they continue to grow into a tumor, and that's when it becomes the malignant thing, and that's when it becomes cancer. So essentially neuroblastoma starts in the womb.
Yeah. So really, how can you tell?
Right. How would you know?
That's right. And it's interesting because, when you're speaking medical terms, it's like right over your head unless you've been to school for something like that. Or you've
had a personal experience.
Yeah.
Like
or you have a personal experience. So just the two words, neuroblastoma, what that means, neuro always has to do, it basically means nerves.
Right.
Okay, so it has to do with the nerves of your body.
Sure.
Blastoma usually always refers to basically a cancer that can affect immature or developing cells. So that goes right along with, kind of what you looked up about how it's attacking those cells in the developmental process.
Right.
Yeah. And I did a little research on the American Cancer Society website about some stats. And they'll be a little different on any of the major .org websites that you may go to.
But it gives you a general perspective. It's
going to give you a perspective. But neuroblastoma is the most common cancer found in infants less than a year old. And I found that, it makes sense now that you just told me kind of the definition
of what it is,
kind of breaking it down a
little
more simple.
Yeah.
And the average age of diagnosis is 1 to 2. So we met Aiden today. He was diagnosed a little later.
Yeah.
And I think that is what happens is that like Elena said, he was fine.
Yeah.
There wasn't any signs, and all of a sudden there was these signs.
Right.
That happened later.
And that she said she is a helicopter parent. I know a lot of people don't like that. I have always been sort of a helicopter parent, and I think part of being a helicopter parent of a younger child, especially because I was worse when mine were younger, is wanting to make sure you're watching out for signs, wanting to make sure you're in tune with anything that could be wrong. And so it's a blessing that she was like that, because if you're just drifting along and, you might take it with a grain of salt and ignore your gut and stuff like we talked about, and just, until things have gotten worse, if they could be any worse. But it makes me wonder too. I'm not a doctor. Maybe someone could tell us. But neuroblastoma being such a large amount of children being affected by this type of thing.
800 new cases a year. And the other thing was 6% of all childhood cancer is neuroblastoma.
That's crazy. So why isn't it a standard sort of test of the fetus or of a newborn baby, or is there no way to test until they've developed further? These are questions I don't know the answers to.
I think I did read something where sometimes it can be detected in utero, but that is probably for parents that are high risk, mothers that are high risk, a little older.
Sure.
Maybe, they've, had some assistance in getting pregnant, something like that.
Yeah,
or they're high risk or something.
But I guess I thought since it affects so many children, why isn't it standard protocol? I know Elena talked a little bit about how they had to go in and get bone marrow, and it sounds very intrusive, and maybe that's something you can't do with a little infant or an unborn baby, but it just seems like affecting so many children that it should be some sort of a standard test.
You would think that there's a marker for it or something in the blood
to look for,
that they could look for.
I'm sure there's an answer out there. And
I'm sure they're working on it too. If there isn't already, I'm sure this is something that all these organizations that, when you see places like Alex's Lemonade Stand or other places, like what was the other one? Love Your Melon. That helps with things like this, that they are searching for those answers too. That's why it's important that, when, every dollar counts.
It really does. And I hate to leave these sort of unopened or unanswered questions. I don't normally do that. Normally we do our research, but I couldn't find anything about that. So it was just something I pondered. But you're right. This leads back to things like Alex's Lemonade Stand, things like the Golden Warrior Festival, or Love Your Melon, the UCF Campus Crew thing, the money that they're coming up with to do more research, perhaps that's the type of research that's being done. Like, how can we find this earlier? How can we help to prevent this from getting worse? And not just how do we cure it?
Yeah. And I think it's important for parents. This isn't something that, Elena wasn't worried about this every day of her life or anything, but I think it's important for us, and we talked about this, to never say that something horrible like this or something horrible can never happen to us, because it can happen to any of us. It can happen to our innocent kids, you know what I mean, who haven't done anything to cause a cancer. This is just,
it's not a lifestyle thing,
something that happened, some little flaw in our body. Our bodies are not perfect, that went haywire, and, hopefully we will find a cure for this horrible epidemic that we have, cancer.
Yeah.
You know how I feel about it.
Sure.
But I think it's important that parents aren't like constantly worried and Googling and, getting false information. But I think it's important that when there are events like the Golden Warrior Festival coming up, attend it so that you can, there's going to be information there so that you are aware.
Yeah.
Because even if you don't have kids and you have nieces and nephews, if you go to things like this and you find some information, you read about it, maybe there's somebody in your family that says, hey, my son started like acting real lethargic and he was having this issue, and you remember these stories, and you can go, hey, just get him checked out.
Yeah,
here's
exactly.
some resources.
So not to be a hypochondriac, but to make you take things a little more serious, maybe when you need to. And I would totally agree. And to sort of tie into that, we'll be promoting the festival more and more leading up to it. As we go into this next month in August, we're going to be talking about #TurnAPopkaGold, because we are going to be making a very large effort to help Turn a Popka Gold with Elena. And
So when you see Angie on the streets going from door to door to all the businesses.
That's right.
Talking about, or asking if they can, purchase this huge gold ribbon to represent all through September. We'd like to have it through August too. As soon as they get the ribbon, they can put it up.
Right.
And, to support Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, which is in September.
That's right. And so we'll provide more specific information very soon, but with the bows, you'll be able to tell that the bows we're putting together are specifically for the Golden Warrior event. We love the idea of a Apopka being turned gold regardless, but to officially support the event, to officially support Alex's lemonade stand, to officially help out Elena and Clayton, Aiden's dad, and Aiden himself, of course. This is how you can really be an official part of supporting that by buying a ribbon, by coming to the event, by buying a t-shirt. We're going to be posting links again. It's actually on the Golden Warrior site. We'll be putting links in the description of the show, but also how you can buy a shirt now. The deadline is approaching for buying shirts.
August 1st, I think. Yep.
Angie and I have purchased ours, and we'll proudly wear them, and we encourage everybody else to do the same. Normally in the information station, we go through a lot of stuff, but we have already gone through a lot of stuff with the interview with Elena. So Angie and I talked about just kind of recapping that a bit, and then we'll put links in the description about everything we've talked about Ronald McDonald House, some of the other things that Elena had mentioned, those that are sort of helping to
great
support
resources
the group.
For people that,
really
may
great
need
resources. And also directly to Aiden's Facebook page. So if you don't know...
Even if you just want to look at a cute kid.
Yeah, no, true. But if you don't know
cute.
Elena, if you don't know Aiden, if you don't know Clayton, it's kind of a peek into their lives, and they are the nicest family, and it is. I think when you get sort of a personal connection with somebody, just in having a conversation with them, or maybe even hearing them talk on our show, our hope is that you do anything you can to help, because this could happen to any of us at any time.
And they have been very lucky and fortunate, is what how Elena put it. The Apopka community has been very supportive of them.
Indeed.
I mean, they have, not held back in support.
Right.
So that is, I think that describes this community.
Oh, certainly.
They stick with their Apopka people.
And they help.
And
they pull together and help.
That's right.
That's what I know about Apopka.
Shout out to Apopka.
No doubt. Well, very good point. No doubt. So I think that pretty much wraps up the information station for us this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, next, we already talked about what we're doing next month. And we're going to be doing some giveaways starting next month.
Oh, yes, we are.
Yes. So we do want to encourage donations, though, guys. We really, really do. I mean, this is kind of our whole purpose of having It's All Fine and Dangy, is to find out how we can help through Fine and Dangy with raising more awareness, more funds, anything towards our charity of choice.
Right.
So obviously this month it's Alex's Lemonade Stand and the Golden Warrior Festival.
Well, this month, you mean this coming month, throughout August?
Oh yeah,
right?
throughout August.
Yeah,
I
sure.
mean, yeah, and probably, forever. But that's kind of our focus. So if you need more information about that, you can email us at feedback@fineanddangy.com or give us a call, 407-290-3899.
That's
and
right.
if you want to sponsor something, and we can get you in touch with Elena, or you can just look on our website and find out the contact information. Whatever.
Absolutely true. And on those giveaways, here's how to enter. So far what we've got planned, and this will grow, but what we've got for giveaways right now, we've got t-shirts from In the Dark, my first novel. I have a few of those left. Those are totally limited edition. We ran out of stock on those 2 years ago, and I just found 3 more.
And he'll sign it too.
Absolutely. And so that's part of our giveaway. So if you're a fan of my novel, those we don't make them anymore. We're never going to make those again, at least not that style. We also have gift certificates for Garibaldi's and Apopka, which is amazing food, and Tijuana Flats.
And margaritas.
Oh, yes, indeed. Oh, be careful with those. And Tijuana Flats. We've got gift cards for there too. My favorite tacos out. Mm-hmm. And We have gift cards for a local chiropractor, Revival Chiropractic. That's a $220 value for each one of those. And we have a handful of those as well. That's our price stash so far. We're going to continue with giveaways. And how do you enter? Very simple. Make a donation to Alex's Lemonade Stand. We'll have the link in the description of the show, or you can Google it. We don't care how much you donate, $1, $5, $100, whatever you want to donate.
That's right.
Send us a screenshot to feedback@fineandangie. You're in the contest. We are going to do giveaways live on Facebook. We're going to do them through the random generator like we did before with the Kindle, so you can see it's totally random. So you don't have better chances just because you donated more.
No.
So anyway, that's how we're going to try to do our part to drive things up. I know at the actual festival, we may be doing things like that as well. Elena talked about that a little bit as well today, just kind of mentioned possibly doing some raffles or something like that. So we'll do more of that, talk about that later. But we'd love for you to start making donations, get in there, win some
here's
stuff.
something really cool you could do too. You know how everybody for their birthday or something, they ask for a donation to a certain cause on Facebook.
Sure.
It's really easy to tag Alex's Lemonade Stand on your personal page, and it puts the link in there to donate, and people can see how much you're collecting in donations. I started one of those.
Yeah.
And I already had Jody who made a donation. So thank you, Jody.
Oh, very nice.
From My Favorite Things.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah. So in every dollar, it don't matter if, and encourage your kids, maybe, to clean out their little piggy bank or whatever, encourage the kids. Like,
what better way are you ever going to spend your money? Really?
Yeah. I wish I would have, I always say that, but I wish I could go back in time and teach my kids to have a little more empathy and a more giving spirit.
Yeah. I think we all
it benefits everybody.
Absolutely.
Themselves as well.
And also you're going to, as we sort of wrap up here, I just want to mention some things not related. That is, Mimi's Community Theater, the Fairy Tale Misfits play is coming up on the 1st and 2nd week of August. We are super excited about that. I started to watch some of the rehearsal video clips online, and I skipped them because I don't want to ruin it, but it looks like it's going to be hilarious. If you enjoy the movie Shrek, it's very much along the lines of those kind of movies. But also, I think Angie may have mentioned, but all social media for us is Fine and Dangie. That's Danjee. Please rate, review, and if you like the show, subscribe. And then ask yourself, what are you doing this day, this week, this month to help someone else? It could be the simplest of gestures. You could buy their food in line at the grocery store or the drive-thru. You can hold the door for them. You can help them carry something or push their cart in, back up to the store. You could let them in traffic if they're trying to get in, or you could just smile. It sounds so corny and cheesy, but
it's very rainy out. Share your umbrella with someone. I was thinking that was a good one because I walked in the rain from Publix to the car today. Yep.
But as cheesy and sort of hippie as that sounds, I feel like if everyone sort of had that mentality, and some of the roughest, toughest guys I know have that mentality. Yeah. So I love it. I think if we all just kind of focused a little bit more on each other than ourselves, it would make a big difference. I know Angie feels the same way.
I do.
We talk about it all the time. And that's it for this show, guys.
And guess what, guys? Just remember, at the end of the day, it's all fine and dangy.
It goes like this, confetti shoots out at me, or it's a lightning bolt, or like all this stuff like just coming at me. I'm kind of dodging it.